Jack Miller stood at the observation window of the International Space Center, watching Earth grow smaller in the distance. The faster-than-light engine test had been successful. Humanity had finally broken the light barrier, opening the door to the stars. "Dr. Miller, you're needed in the command center." The voice over the intercom interrupted his moment of reflection. Jack straightened his jacket and hurried through the curved hallways. At 42, he was considered young for his position as Earth's top advisor on potential extraterrestrial contact. Most had thought his career choice foolish until 2 years ago, when the first signals were detected. As he entered the command center, the room fell silent. Director Helen Ward motioned him over to the main screen. "Something's approaching," she said quietly, "and it's not one of ours." The radar showed an object slowing as it approached Earth's orbit. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the largest human spacecraft. "Have they sent any signals?" Jack asked. "Nothing we recognize," Helen replied. "But they're definitely decelerating in a controlled manner. Whatever it is, it's coming to visit." Within 6 hours, every major news outlet on Earth was reporting the same story. An alien ship had entered Earth's orbit and was holding position. World leaders gathered in emergency sessions while military forces went on high alert. Jack found himself in the center of it all. His years of theoretical work on first contact protocols were suddenly the most valuable expertise on the planet. "We need to establish communication," he told the assembled leaders at the United Nations. "We should assume they're peaceful until proven otherwise. Their technology clearly surpasses ours. If they wanted to harm us, they could have done so already." 3 days after the ship's arrival, it sent a message. Simple mathematical sequences that Jack's team quickly recognized as an invitation to respond. Within a week, they had established basic communication. "They call themselves the Galactic High Council," Jack explained to the president. "From what we can understand, they represent a union of 27 advanced species that maintains order across this part of the galaxy." The council requested a meeting, and Jack was selected to join the reception team. The landing site was prepared in a remote desert location, surrounded by scientists, diplomats, and discreet security forces. The alien ship was beautiful up close, sleek silver-blue metal that seemed to flow like liquid. A door appeared where there had been none, and 3 beings emerged. The lead alien stood nearly 8 feet tall with 6 limbs and skin that shifted colors slightly as it moved. It wore what appeared to be ceremonial clothing with symbols Jack couldn't decipher. "I am Zethnar," the alien said through a translation device, "High Counselor of the 7th Sector and representative of the Galactic High Council." Jack stepped forward. "I am Jack Miller, representing Earth and humanity. We welcome you in peace." Zethnar's skin rippled blue. "We have observed your achievement of faster-than-light travel. According to Council protocol, this qualifies your species for probationary membership consideration." The meeting lasted 5 hours. Jack listened carefully to every word, not just what was said, but how it was said. Though the translation was imperfect, he detected subtle tones of condescension in the alien's communication. "Your species has developed rather quickly," Zethnar noted. "Most take twice as long to reach this stage. Interesting, if somewhat concerning." Later, as the aliens returned to their ship promising future contact, Jack reviewed his notes. Something felt off about the interaction. The aliens had shared information about the Council's structure and history, but carefully avoided specific questions about Earth's position in the galactic order. "They're hiding something," he told Helen as they watched the ship depart. "The way they spoke about humans, it was like they were studying us, not just meeting us." He didn't know yet what humanity's place would be among the stars, but he was certain of one thing. There was more to this Galactic High Council than they were revealing. 5 years passed since the first contact with the Galactic High Council. Earth had changed. Small colonies now existed on Mars and Europa. Ships regularly traveled between Earth and its new outposts. Jack Miller had been busy during these years. He became Earth's main contact person with alien representatives. His office walls were covered with pictures of different alien species and maps of star systems. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when Jack's computer screen lit up with an incoming message marked Priority 1. He opened it and nearly spilled his coffee. "Susan," he called to his wife in the next room. "You need to see this." Susan Miller walked in, wiping her hands on a towel. At 39, she was one of Earth's top engineers, responsible for several breakthroughs in the new ship's designs. "What is it?" she asked. "The Council has invited us to Nexus Prime. They're giving humanity an observer seat centuries ahead of schedule." Jack could hardly believe the words as he spoke them. Susan read the message over his shoulder. "This doesn't follow their normal timeline. Why the special treatment?" Jack had wondered the same thing. According to the information shared by Council representatives, new species typically spent centuries developing before receiving observer status. "I don't know," he admitted, "but they want me to go as Earth's representative." "When do we leave?" Susan asked. Jack looked up at her. "The message says I'm to travel alone." Susan crossed her arms. "Not happening. If you're going to an alien headquarters millions of light years away, I'm coming too. They need engineers as much as they need diplomats." 3 weeks later, they boarded the human ship Horizon Dawn for the journey to Nexus Prime. It was Earth's newest vessel, built specifically for long-distance travel. The trip would take 3 months using the new faster-than-light drives. The night before their arrival, Jack couldn't sleep. He wandered to the ship's data center and began reviewing the Council files one more time. Something caught his eye in a medical report, a comparison of species brain structures. The report had been partially encrypted, but Jack had been given special access codes. What he found confused him. According to the data, humans had unusual neurological traits. Unlike other species, human brains showed extreme adaptability and creative problem-solving abilities. The report classified these traits as potentially destabilizing to established order, but also valuable for specific applications. "We're lab rats to them," he muttered to himself. The next morning, Jack shared his discovery with Susan as they prepared for arrival. "So that's why they invited us early," she said. "They want to study us up close. Or they need us for something," Jack suggested. "Either way, we need to be careful." The Horizon Dawn dropped out of faster-than-light travel, and Nexus Prime appeared on the view screen. Both Jack and Susan gasped. The artificial planet was enormous, a perfect sphere covered with lights and structures, with thousands of ships moving around it like bees around a hive. "It's beautiful," Susan whispered. A voice came over the communication system. "Horizon Dawn, this is Nexus Prime Control. Welcome to the seat of the Galactic High Council. Please follow the transmitted coordinates to your docking station." As they approached, Jack noticed the docking area they were directed to was in a distant section, far from the central structures. The area was marked with symbols he recognized as meaning Developing Species Zone. "They're putting us in the corner," he said quietly to Susan, "away from the important areas." Susan squeezed his hand. "Then we'll just have to show them why that's a mistake." The ship docked with a gentle thud, and Jack prepared to step onto Nexus Prime as the first official human representative to the Galactic High Council. Whatever waited beyond those doors, humanity's place in the galaxy was about to change forever. Jack and Susan stepped through the airlock into Nexus Prime. The air smelled clean but strange, with a hint of something like cinnamon. A tall reptilian being waited for them. Its scales shimmered green and gold in the light. "Welcome to Nexus Prime. I am Krell Vaughn, your assigned guide," the alien said with a slight bow. "I will show you to your quarters and explain your duties here." As they walked through vast hallways, Jack and Susan tried not to stare. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved about. Some floated rather than walked. Others had multiple limbs or eyes. The architecture was just as varied. Some sections looked like crystal forests, others like underwater caves. "How many species live here?" Susan asked. "Representatives from over 3,000 worlds reside on Nexus Prime," Krell Vaughn replied. though only 27 hold full council membership. Their quarters were small but comfortable, located in a distant wing far from the central council chambers. The walls changed color to match Earth's sky, a gesture that seemed both thoughtful and patronizing. "Your formal introduction to the council will be tomorrow," Krull Vaughn said before leaving. "Rest well." Once alone, Susan pulled out a small device. "What's that?" Jack asked. "Something I built before we left Earth," she replied with a smile. "It can connect to and analyze any data network. I want to learn more about this place than they're willing to tell us." The next morning, they dressed in their formal Earth uniforms. Krull Vaughn led them to a massive chamber where representatives from across the galaxy gathered. The room was arranged in rings, with the inner circle holding the 27 full council members. Earth's position was in the outermost ring. Jack noticed several insect-like beings watching them intensely from the inner circle. They had compound eyes and chitinous exoskeletons. Their multiple limbs moved constantly, tapping on control panels. "Who are they?" he whispered to Krull Vaughn. "The Accioni Confederation," the guide answered. "They control the largest territory in the council and chair several important committees." The meeting lasted hours. Jack struggled to follow all the discussions about trade routes, border disputes, and resource allocations. When Earth was finally introduced, the announcement lasted less than 30 seconds. Many representatives didn't even look up. Later that evening, Susan showed Jack what she had discovered. Her device had managed to access parts of the Nexus Information Network. "They're studying us, Jack," she said, pointing to files on her screen. "Not just casual observation, intensive study. Look at these reports on human decision-making, creativity, and adaptability." Jack scrolled through the files. According to this, humans score higher on adaptive thinking tests than 96% of known species. They're particularly interested in how we respond to unexpected problems. And look at this. Susan pointed to another file. It's a report comparing human responses to crisis situations versus other species. We're being rated for creativity under pressure. Apparently that's rare in the galaxy. Jack frowned. "So the real reason we got an early invitation is because we're interesting lab specimens," Susan finished his sentence. "But there's more. Some council members seem worried about us. There are security assessments, threat analyses." "Threat? We barely have ships that can reach other star systems. How could we threaten anyone here?" Susan pulled up another file. "It's not our technology they're worried about. It's our minds. This report calls human unpredictability potentially destabilizing to galactic order, but also notes our exceptional value in solving complex problems." Jack stared at the files, a chill running down his spine. Humanity was being evaluated not as a partner, but as a resource or a potential problem to manage. "We need to be careful," he said quietly. "We're not just observers here. We're being observed." Outside their window, the endless city of Nexus Prime glittered with millions of lights, beautiful and alien. Somewhere in those vast structures, powerful beings were deciding humanity's future in the stars. 2 months passed on Nexus Prime. Jack attended council meetings almost daily, though he was rarely asked to speak. Susan spent her time studying alien technology and meeting engineers from other worlds. They were settling into a routine when the alarms began to sound. Jack was woken by a high-pitched wailing. Red lights flashed across their quarters. He jumped out of bed to find Susan already at her computer. "What's happening?" he asked. "The station-wide alert system just activated," she said, typing rapidly. "Something about the central wormhole stabilizer." A message appeared on their wall screen. Krull Vaughn's face looked strained. "Humans, please remain in your quarters. We are experiencing a technical issue. There is no cause for alarm." But Jack could see the fear in their guide's eyes. "Susan, can you find out what's really going on?" She worked her device, breaking through security barriers. "Got it. The wormhole stabilizer in the Nexus core is failing. It's some kind of advanced technology that helps maintain the artificial gravity and power systems." "How bad is it?" Susan's face went pale. According to these readings, if it collapses completely, it could destroy half the station. They rushed to the door, ignoring the stay-in-place orders. The corridors were filled with aliens moving in all directions. Some were calmly walking to evacuation points, while others ran in panic. Jack spotted Krelvan hurrying past. "What's happening? Can we help?" The reptilian guide stopped. "The wormhole stabilizer is failing. The council is meeting to decide evacuation priorities." "Evacuation?" Jack asked. "Isn't anyone trying to fix it? The technology is too complex. The original builders died out centuries ago. We maintain it, but true understanding of its principles is limited." Susan stepped forward. "Let me see the schematics. I've been studying your power systems." Krelvan hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." They were led to a control room filled with worried alien technicians. On large screens, complex diagrams showed a swirling mass of energy growing unstable at the planet's core. Council representatives are arguing about which species should evacuate first, one technician said. "We have maybe 3 hours before critical failure." Susan studied the diagrams with intense focus. "These energy patterns, they're similar to theories we were developing on Earth. The problem isn't in the hardware, it's in the energy distribution concept." Jack watched as his wife worked through the alien computer systems. "You understand this technology?" "Not completely," she admitted. "But I understand enough. The stabilizer was designed with a specific way of thinking about energy flow. It's brilliant, but there's a flaw in the conceptual model. The builders never saw it because they thought in fixed patterns." After an hour of work, Susan looked up. "I think I can fix this, but I need to access the main control node. It's near the core." Krelvan shook his head. "That area is restricted and dangerous now. More dangerous than letting half the station be destroyed." Jack asked. They made their decision. Against all rules, Jack and Susan followed maintenance tunnels toward the core, guided by schematics on Susan's device. They passed evacuation groups heading in the opposite direction. No one tried to stop them. In the growing crisis, 2 humans were beneath notice. The central core was a vast chamber dominated by swirling energy. The control node was a crystalline structure with alien symbols flowing across its surface. Susan immediately began working, her fingers flying across the interface. "The problem is here. They're trying to balance the energy in a symmetrical pattern, but the wormhole doesn't work that way. It needs an asymmetrical distribution to remain stable." Alarms blared louder as the energy patterns grew more chaotic. Susan kept working. "There," she finally said, inputting the last command. "It should stabilize now." For a terrible moment, nothing changed. Then slowly, the wild energy patterns began to calm. The red warning lights faded to yellow, then green. Jack let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "You did it." Susan nodded, looking exhausted but proud. Humans are good at thinking outside established patterns. That's what was needed here. They didn't yet realize how this moment would change everything, not just for them, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. News of what Jack and Susan had done spread quickly through Nexus Prime. Aliens stopped them in hallways to express thanks. Some bowed, others offered strange gifts. Guards who had previously ignored them now stood at attention when they passed. 3 days after the crisis, they received a message. The Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic High Council wanted to meet them privately. "This is unprecedented," Krelvan told them as he led them through parts of Nexus Prime they had never seen before. Chancellor Orlos rarely meets with representatives from non-member worlds. They arrived at a simple door made of what looked like white marble. It opened silently as they approached. "I will wait here," Krelvan said. "The Chancellor will see you alone." Jack and Susan entered a circular room with walls that seemed to shift between solid and gas. In the center floated a being unlike any they had seen before. It appeared as a swirling cloud of golden light, with patterns moving through it like lightning. "Humans," the being said, its voice somehow inside their minds rather than in the air. I am Orlos, Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic High Council. You have done our civilization a great service. Jack bowed slightly. We only did what anyone would do in that situation. But that is precisely what is remarkable, Orlos replied. No one else did, or could. The light being moved closer. I must share something with you that few outside the inner council know. Despite your species' technological youth, humans possess exceptional mental traits that most galactic species lack. Susan frowned. We found files suggesting something like that. Yes, I know of your explorations in our networks, Orla said with what seemed like amusement. That too demonstrated your unique qualities. You see, most advanced species in our galaxy evolve toward specialization. The Axioni excel at mathematics and pattern recognition. The Methorans at philosophical thought. The Durrani at trade calculations. And humans? Jack asked. Humans are different. You evolved as generalists, with remarkable adaptability and creative problem-solving abilities. What you lack in specialized intelligence, you make up for in cognitive flexibility and innovation. The solution Susan found to our wormhole crisis could not have been conceived by other species because their minds do not work that way. The golden light dimmed slightly. This is why some on the council fear humanity. Your potential growth curve is steeper than any species we have encountered. It is also why I have made a decision. The light brightened again. I am offering humanity full membership on the Galactic High Council, effective immediately. Jack and Susan looked at each other in shock. But the standard timeline, Jack began, is irrelevant in this case, Orlos finished. The crisis proved that humanity brings something valuable to our collective. However, not all agree with me. Images appeared in the air showing council meetings they had not attended. The Axioni representatives seemed particularly agitated. The Axioni Confederation leads the opposition, Orlos explained. They control the largest territory and fear human expansion might eventually challenge their dominance. They want restrictions placed on human development, limiting your species to a single solar system for safety reasons. Jack straightened his shoulders. Humanity would never accept those terms. I know, Orlos replied. Which is why we must act carefully. The vote on your membership status will come soon. The Axioni are powerful and have many allies. What should we do? Susan asked. Build your own alliances within the council. There are many who were impressed by your actions during the crisis. Use that goodwill wisely. The golden light moved back to the center of the room. You have awakened something in our stagnant order, humans. Change is coming to the galaxy. Whether that change brings harmony or conflict may depend on what you do next. As they left the chamber, Jack and Susan knew they had just been given both an opportunity and a warning. Humanity's future among the stars now rested on their shoulders. Jack spent the next 2 weeks meeting with representatives from various council species. He learned quickly which ones might be allies and which would side with the Axioni. His diplomatic skills were tested daily. One morning, while studying council protocols in a public area, someone sat down across from him. She was human, with dark hair and sharp eyes. You must be Jack Miller, she said. I'm Lisa Rodriguez. I arrived with the science team last month. Jack smiled, surprised and pleased to see another human face. I didn't know there were other humans on Nexus Prime. Just a small research group, Lisa explained. We've been working with alien scientists, mostly kept away from politics. But I've been hearing about you and Susan everywhere. We've made some waves, Jack admitted. Lisa leaned forward. More than waves. The Axioni representatives have been asking very pointed questions about human history in my lab. They seem especially interested in our wars and conflicts. Jack frowned. They're looking for evidence to paint us as dangerous. Exactly, Lisa nodded. I thought you should know. Also, I want to help. My work in xenobiology has earned some respect. I might be able to build bridges with species you haven't approached yet. They began working together. Lisa introduced Jack to the Methorans, tall blue beings who valued philosophical thought above all else. Their leader, a female named Ethlor, listened carefully as Jack explained humanity's view of cooperation. "Your species thinks differently than the Axioni claim," Ethlor said after their talk. "They speak only of human aggression. You speak of human connection. This interests us." Meanwhile, Susan focused on the practical-minded Durrani trade collective. These short, furry aliens controlled many important trade routes. Susan showed them human engineering concepts that could improve their shipping efficiency. "Your ideas are valuable," the Durrani trade master told her. "Perhaps humans would make good business partners after all." Day by day, they built support. But the Axioni were not idle. Jack learned they were sharing carefully selected parts of human history with other species, focusing only on wars, weapons, and conflicts. One evening, Jack found Lisa waiting at their quarters, looking worried. "The Axioni showed the Council a presentation today about Earth's military history," she said. "They included nothing about human cooperation, art, or peaceful achievements, just violence." Jack paced the room. "They're manipulating the facts." "It gets worse," Lisa continued. "Their motion to restrict human expansion comes up for vote in 3 days. They gained support. Many species are now afraid of human unpredictability." Susan, who had been working at her computer, looked up. "I found something interesting in the Council archives. There's an ancient tradition called the right of demonstrative capability. It hasn't been used in thousands of years, but it's still valid under Council law." Jack read the information on her screen. "It allows a species to prove their value through direct challenge instead of a vote." "Yes," Susan said. "If we invoke this right, we can challenge the Axioni's claims directly through a series of tests." "Tests of what?" Lisa asked. "That's the interesting part," Susan replied. "The challenged species can choose the areas of competition. The Axioni would have to participate if formally challenged." Jack thought carefully. If they lost, humanity's position would be worse than before. But if they won, "We need to be smart about this," he said finally. "The Axioni will choose areas where they excel, complex mathematics, pattern recognition. But we can counter with areas where humans are strong," Lisa suggested. "Adaptability, innovation, creative problem-solving." "It's risky," Susan warned. Jack nodded. "But it might be our only chance. If the vote happens as scheduled, we'll lose." Lisa stood up. "I'll speak with my science team. We need every human on Nexus Prime working together on this." Jack looked out at the vast artificial planet that housed the seat of galactic power. Soon, humanity would either gain its rightful place among the stars or be confined to its home system, perhaps forever. "Let's do it," he said. "Tomorrow, I'll invoke the right of demonstrative capability." The main council chamber fell silent when Jack stepped forward and formally invoked the right of demonstrative capability. Many representatives looked confused. The ancient tradition was known to few. Others looked shocked that a probationary species would dare use such a measure. The Axioni leader, Zextic, rose on his 4 back legs. His voice clicked and hissed through the translator. "The human invokes a right he barely understands. This alone proves their reckless nature." Chancellor Orlo's golden form brightened slightly. "The right has been properly invoked and must be honored. According to tradition, 5 challenges will be set to test the questioning species' fitness for council membership." Jack stood tall. Humanity accepts any fair challenge. After hours of debate, the challenges were agreed upon. The first would test mathematical reasoning, clearly favoring the Axioni. The second would test diplomatic negotiation. The third would evaluate technological innovation. The fourth would measure adaptability to unexpected conditions. The final challenge would test leadership under pressure. Lisa helped gather every human on Nexus Prime. Besides Jack and Susan, there were only 3 others. Ben Carter, a retired Special Forces officer who had come as security advisor, Olivia Wright, a quantum physicist, and Lisa herself. 5 humans against the might of ancient galactic powers. "We need to be strategic," Jack told them. "We won't win the math challenge. The Accioni process calculations faster than any computer we've built, but we can win the others if we work together." The challenges began the next day. As expected, the humans lost the first contest badly. The Accioni solved complex mathematical problems in seconds that would take Earth's best computers hours. But in the second challenge, negotiating a peaceful solution to a fictional conflict, Jack showed humanity's strength. While the Accioni proposed rigid rules and hierarchies, Jack found a creative compromise that satisfied all parties. The judges awarded humanity the win. The third challenge involved solving a technological puzzle, repairing an ancient device with missing parts. Susan and Olivia studied the machine, then built replacement components using materials in ways their designers never intended. Their solution wasn't elegant, but it worked. Another point for humanity. For the fourth challenge, all competitors were teleported to an uninhabited moon with toxic atmosphere and told to survive for 24 hours with minimal equipment. The other species relied on their specialized adaptations. Ben led the humans in a different approach, constant adaptation. They moved their shelter as conditions changed, improvised tools from natural materials, and worked as a team. When time expired, the humans were the only team without injuries. The final challenge was the most difficult. Each species had to lead a diverse team through a crisis simulation. Jack was chosen as humanity's leader. The simulation involved a failing starship with crew from 10 different species, each with different needs and abilities. The Accioni leader tried to calculate the optimal solution, but became paralyzed when variables kept changing. Jack took a different approach. He quickly assessed each crew member's strengths, assigned roles that matched their abilities, and adjusted plans as new problems arose. His team reached safety with all members intact. When the challenges ended, the council chamber was buzzing with conversation. Many representatives who had feared humans now looked at them with new respect. Even some Accioni seemed thoughtful rather than hostile. Chancellor Orlos called for silence. "The challenges are complete. Humanity has proven their capability in 4 of 5 tests, a result rarely achieved in council history. Their petition for full membership without restrictions will now be put to vote." Jack looked at Susan, Lisa, Ben, and Olivia. Whatever happened next, they had shown the galaxy what humans could do. Not through force or technology, but through the uniquely human gifts of adaptability, teamwork, and creative thinking. The vote was not even close. After seeing humans in action during the challenges, most council species supported full membership for Earth. Even some Accioni voted in favor, impressed by what they had witnessed. 6 months later, humanity established its first colony outside the solar system. Council ships helped transport settlers and supplies. Jack and Susan visited the New World briefly before returning to their duties on Nexus Prime. Earth's position in galactic affairs grew stronger each day. Human creativity and problem-solving abilities were in high demand. Many species requested human advisors for difficult projects. Susan led a team redesigning parts of Nexus Prime's power system, while Lisa established new protocols for cross-species medical treatment. Then, without warning, Supreme Chancellor Orlos announced retirement. The Golden Being had led the Council for over 200 years. Now it wished to return to its home dimension. "The energy patterns of this plane grow tiresome," Orlos told Jack during a private meeting. "It is time for new leadership." The news sent shockwaves through the Council. The major powers immediately began campaigning for the position. The Accioni, the Methorans, and the Durrani all put forward candidates. Smaller factions formed alliances, trying to gain advantage. After 2 weeks of heated debate, the Council remained deadlocked. No candidate could secure enough votes. The 3 major powers refused to support each other, and smaller species feared being dominated by any of them. During a particularly tense session, a representative from the Tellarate Union, a normally quiet species, stood up. "We propose Jack Miller of Earth as a compromise candidate," the Tellarate said. Silence fell over the chamber. Then another representative, from a different species, stood in support. Then another. Jack was stunned. "This is impossible," he whispered to Susan. "I've only been on the council for months. Most Supreme Chancellors serve for centuries before being elected." "That's exactly why," Susan replied. "You have no old alliances or enemies. You've shown leadership and fairness. And every species has seen how humans solve problems differently." The debate lasted 3 days. Jack consulted with Earth's leaders, who were equally shocked but supportive. Finally, a vote was called. The results appeared on screens throughout the chamber. Jack Miller of Earth had received support from over 60% of Council species. He would be the first human Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic High Council. The inauguration ceremony was held in the great central plaza of Nexus Prime. Representatives from thousands of worlds attended. Jack wore a simple Earth uniform with only one addition: the seal of the Supreme Chancellor, a crystal disc that glowed with inner light. "Today marks a new chapter in galactic history," Jack said in his acceptance speech. "For too long, the Council has maintained order without embracing change. Different ways of thinking were seen as threats rather than opportunities. Together, we can build a future that honors our diverse strengths while finding new paths forward." Even the Axioni representatives buzzed their approval. Their leader, Zextic, approached Jack after the ceremony. "We underestimated your species," the insectoid being admitted. "The Axioni value logic and predictability. Humans seem dangerous because you are unpredictable. Now we see this can be a strength." Later that evening, Jack and Susan stood in the Chancellor's observatory, looking out at the galaxy. Below them, Nexus Prime glittered with countless lights. Above, stars filled the black void. "Did you ever imagine this when we first arrived?" Susan asked, taking his hand. Jack shook his head. "Never. I just wanted to secure humanity's place among the stars." "And now you lead them all," she said with a smile. Jack looked out at the vast galaxy before him. "Not lead, guide. That's what humanity can offer the galaxy. Not just solutions to problems, but new ways of finding solutions." "What happens next?" Susan asked. Jack squeezed her hand. "We build something new. Something better than any single species could create alone." As Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic High Council, Jack Miller would help shape the future of 1,000,000 worlds. And humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun.